Another building, it's the first time I've ever talked about it on a tour, but I think it's relevant. This was another famous Roslyn establishment. It was called the Blue Spruce Inn, and it was on this site. This picture is taken, the Blue Spruce was much closer to the street, and as you can see here, this parking lot is pretty much where we're standing up here. And like I say often, what happens, what's the long-term history and fate of these big wooden houses, especially when there's a restaurant in it? What's in a restaurant? Kitchens and ovens and fire. So it burnt down in '74. And these new owners bought the property. And I just like pointing out and talking about it because I think it's a very nice building. You know, in essence, what this is, and I know most of my career has been spent working in the retail marketplace, retail interiors and shopping centers. Unlike the middle of the island where you have these Hempstead Turnpikes and Jerichos and Old Country Road, where you just get these real nondescript, cheap box buildings. I'm not talking about the big box stores. I'm talking about strip centers with a bunch of little stores in them, gigantic parking field in the front, and then the service in the back, just like it would have been at the grocery store. This one's a little more interesting. It's tucked into a hillside, and if you drove your car around here, there's literally a tunnel underneath. And you can see the building was designed in an interesting way because it has a center and it's symmetrical. There's some logic to it, and then there's a two-story, there's an office space above, and some stuff like yoga studios and this sort of thing, restaurants. And then on the sides here, you have the diagnostic and this kabuto at the end, which is well-known Japanese food. And, you know, it's been here for how many years? And unlike all of these other centers that get a new facelift every 10 years or so, this is really an authentic piece of architecture. So we'll walk by this, and I also want to point out this AT&T Tower that's actually slated to be removed, which I'm very disappointed about because we find this structure to be very, when I say we, unfortunately a small group of us find this thing to be quite important and a landmark and attractive. It was originally built for telecommunications from AT&T. They built these in the late 60s, early 70s, which is when this one was built. And this was a very important piece of telecommunications technology. And these happened all over the country. They're slowly coming down now, and they're normally used for cell towers now. You can see this one, you can just see above the tree line there, there's a few of these cell phone antennas. These other antennas that are on the top, they call them acorn antennas. They were used for the AT&T telecommunications. They're really not useful anymore because it's all satellites and cables, and these are no longer used for that purpose. But they are apparently going to take it down, and we tried. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to walk along the front here. We're going to go up to Raleigh Motors. We'll stop halfway up, and we'll talk a little bit about the Sinclair Martin Drive Historic District and this historic district across the street where Florence and I live. And the Trinity Church across the street, we're not going there today. It's for another tour. That was designed by Stanford White, another world famous architect, but 100 years earlier, 1900. So take a look at that. And there's beautiful Tiffany-stained glass windows in that. This is the Sinclair Martin Drive Historic District. The architect in Roslyn that worked with the Garys lived here and was a very good friend of ours, Guy Ladd Frost. He's deceased now. And, you know, like myself, the Garys latched on to him when he came into town. They're beautiful houses. I'm told that they were built by Bill Levitt, these houses.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But Roger he was concerned because Raleigh Motors, after they built it, even though they were very pleased with it, Raleigh Motors started buying the houses, and they owned the first one. And Roger said, you know what? I think they have a long-term plan here. And so he got this one as a historic district. And of course, this one was a no-brainer with these older buildings. In Roslyn, on both sides of the hillsides, we have what's called a Hillside Protection Overlay District. So anything that is proposed in those areas has to go through a very arduous review process. And that's what one of the beauties of Roslyn is, that we maintain these beautiful hillsides in this very bucolic environment. So so everybody here is mobile. We're going to go up and we're going to just talk. I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes outside, and then we're going to go in. It's a quick loop and we'll be done.